what is it? It'll be like this, right? There she is. She's in there on my green room, waiting to come on with me. Hello, sweet friend.
Hi, I'm a nightmare today. Just don't mind
Uh,
me.
you know what? There's no
I'm
such
like, I
thing.
might need
You're awesome.
another light on. We'll see if this is any better.
You're a
That
bit
might be
better.
worse.
No,
Yeah,
no, you look fine. You look great.
I'm like, so I don't know why I cannot wake up today. So tired.
I
And
was
I got
having the
up
same.
early and I
I,
worked out.
I was having the same problem. Although also I'm having a gout flare in my left knee.
Oh,
So I'm hobbling around. I didn't get into the studio because it was too hard. And I have to do some ho 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 this afternoon, some virtual ho ho ho.
cool.
So yeah, that'll be fun today. I'm looking forward to it. Some really special people
Yeah,
that
that's awesome.
we're going to be going to talk to live from the North Pole.
That's fun.
How have you been this last week or so?
I've been good, good. Just hanging in
Yeah,
there, getting ready for Christmas. Excited about that. I have a lot of my Christmas shopping done. What's funny is I have it all done for like the friends and colleagues and stuff, but like the like close people, I'm still like I have to get that.
yeah.
I just hate what when your kids get older and they're just like, I know I did the same thing, but it's like we just want money. I'm like, well, then you're not gonna have anything to open. And then what I'll end up doing is being like, oh, I'll just give them money. And then what this happens every year. Oh, I'll just give them this or that. And it's what they asked for. And then the day before Christmas, I'm like, it's not enough for under the tree. And I run out to Walmart and I buy a bunch of like crap just so they have like more stuff to open. I'm like,
More stuff to open, more stuff to just keep piling in
yeah.
their room. Yeah,
So that's what usually ends up happening.
yeah. Oh, no, they were on the show. I was watching the show called 911, and they had the Christmas, and they were talking about how the son was just like, I just want money, and he's like, no, you're opening something. I'm going to put something under the tree for you to open. He goes,
Right.
you can put cash in the box. I'm like, and he said, no. So anyway, that was the whole, and that's the way it is here too. I have teenagers. They're looking at, they really just want some money so they can buy the things that they want. They don't trust us to find things that will fit the way they want them to, and they'll look the way they want them to,
Right.
and
Or
all
they
that.
don't even know what they want. So they're just like,
No,
well, I'll
that's
just have
true.
money and then I can use it when I go out with my
That's
friends. So,
And unfortunately, I have what is which is just like me actually. My daughter is a giver, and so she
yeah.
loves to pay and she loves to buy things for her friends. And I'm like, I'm not giving you money to go buy things for your friends. The money is for you to use for yourself.
Right.
She's like, going, but that is for myself. It makes me happy.
It makes me happy. Yeah,
But,
my daughter's very much that way. Like she just like she's always been that way. Like I remember, have you ever heard of Awanas? It's in the churches. It's like a group where it's not youth group, but they like learned they have to memorize like Bible verses and stuff like that. And they memorize the books of the Bible, all this stuff. Well, if when they hit certain benchmarks of memorizing things or whatever, they'll get like almost like Chuck E. Cheese stuff, and then you get to go in a shop and shop. She'd be the type of kid like my oldest son. He'd only buy for himself. He never. He's like was always like we'd stingy, and then like my daughter would be like, "Mom, I got you this from the shop," and she would buy everybody else presents, and she would
right.
every year she would buy like for Christmas and stuff, she would buy her friends like 5, 6 presents each. I'm like, what are you
Right.
doing?
Yeah,
But it's
yeah.
super cool. I love it.
Yeah, mine's the same way. Yeah, for her friends, and then she organizes the whole Secret Santa thing.
Mm,
So they have the whole Secret Santa. Plus, she gets gifts for her close friends.
that's awesome,
So
though.
it, of course, it is. She's a lovely, wonderful, giving soul, and I appreciate it more than. But I want her to put the money away and save it, and I didn't do that. So
Yeah,
why am I?
mine was really my daughter that's like that too. Is like she'll be like spending all of her money, and then she's like has no money. I'm like, well, you can't like give it all away, your friends. So I get it.
So in this season, Leslie, and I know
Yes.
you think about these things because you and I are similar in this vein. What are some joy things joy expressions? That's what I wanted to say. That's the word. Joy expressions that you do for people. Speaking of buying gifts and things like that, joy expressions. Though I don't know what the definition of that is, but it popped in my head. But it's expressions of joy, of course, to people. What do you think are good ideas to spread the cheer of the season without necessarily having to monetarily come out of your pocket? It's more. I have some things in mind, but I wanted to put it on you first. Um, to let me know and let us know, what do you think is the kind of things that you can do?
Well, I mean, the first thing that comes to mind to me is just like express what's on your mind in terms of like almost just showing people appreciation for them individually, like just expressing verbally to people, affirming them. That's the first thing that comes. I mean, obviously that's the
Right.
cheapest, but then also like if you had a party or something like that and invited people over. But again, that does cost money, but it's not an actual gift.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I've been kind of like my new thing lately is starting to try to like when you go through I used to be the type of person, like let's say I would go through the store and I see some little trinket that I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so this person. But I'd be like, I'm not gonna buy him a gift. That's weird. It's
Right.
not like my
Right.
boyfriend or my good friend. I would, but now I'm like, why wouldn't I do that?
Right.
Like why wouldn't I let somebody know, like, hey, I noticed that you like this certain thing.
Right.
And I've been actually it's funny because I've been actually messing with some people, like my one friend will go out for lunch, and when we go to the place I'll be like, Rachel's gonna have a chimichanga and then she's gonna have those fried cheesecake things afterwards, and she's like, how do you know that? It's like, because you get it every time we go out for lunch. And she's like, yeah, but I would never pay attention to that. I'm like, and I'm like, I would have at one point thought that was weird. Like, I would have
Right.
been like, is this person stalking me that they would pay attention to that? But it's like, no, I just noticed because like now I'm just like trying to notice things more about like what
Right.
what
That's
people
important.
like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's something that's an expression of joy as well, because you're paying attention to those that mean something to you. You know, it's you see there's times when couples are that way. The husband knows what his wife likes. If he's a good guy and he gets those things for her or does those things for her. I try to remember, I know my wife wants me to unload the dishwasher every day. And so I get that.
Joyfully.
Yeah.
She
And
wants
so,
you to want to unload the dishwasher.
oh, I hate unloading the dishwasher, but I do it because I know she wants it done and then it'll help her be happier when she gets home. She doesn't have to deal with it and all that kind of stuff. Oh,
Right.
I can't stand unloading the dishwasher or loading it. It's been my least favorite thing ever.
I hate
And
that too. Oh gosh.
anyway,
I know what call that was. Sorry.
it's okay. So, but, sometimes those are the things that mean the most. And what you said earlier, you want to say a nice word, say something to somebody, but it seems kind of trivial because it doesn't cost anything and whatever. But you know what? Sometimes a kind word can mean millions to somebody.
Oh yeah.
It
Yeah.
can be so powerful in the right moment. And I believe, Leslie, and I think you're on the same way. We've talked about this before. I believe if we leave ourselves open and allow God to lead us in the things that we do, we're going to do those things that we, that before we thought that's kind of intrusive to say to someone that you care about them today. I just really
Right.
care about you today. And it's not something that you come up with. It's something that you're inspired to do. It's an
Right.
expression of joy that it's laid on you. And there's been so many times, and I'm not tooting any horns or anything, but there've been so many times where I've said something to somebody, for me, in passing, for me, throwaway. You know what I mean? Because it was just a comment, like, "Hey, how you doing today?" Or, "Oh, dude, I dig your shoes," or whatever, something like that. And then the people come back around and say, "Hey, how did you know I was just feeling like crap earlier, and then you said something cool about my shoes?" You
Right.
know, and this is even kids, in the school system, and they say that to me, and I'm like going, I don't know, it just came to me that I wanted to tell you that your shoes were cool, man, or
Right.
whatever, and that's that happened. I saw a kid, and I said, "Dude, the kicks are rocking," and then he came up to me, he goes later, he goes, "Thanks, Mr. Bailey. Earlier, you told me my kicks were rocking, man. I really appreciate that. No one else has noticed my new shoes today." And I was like, "Well,
Right.
I saw them. I thought they were cool, so I told you. And these are the kind of things, Leslie. And I know that you do the same thing. I know that when you see something that needs to be said to somebody, even if we're not really considering that we're trying to encourage the person. We're just trying to let them know that we care.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, and it's an art. It's honestly, it is. It's a way of life. It's something that I'm like, why does my volume is all the way down yet it still keeps making noises? That's what's driving me crazy today. But yeah, it's
Airplane
one of
mode.
those things it's not, people sit there and be like, oh, this person's a natural this or that. Well, yeah, who cares? Some people
Right.
have to practice doing that, and
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
It doesn't mean that you can't become that. Like people,
Yes.
how would you become more like I at one point in time I used to tell people, I'd be like, I would like I'm not saying I would never say like, oh, I'm a bad person, but I would say that at some points, but no, I wasn't saying this in a derogatory way about myself, but I'd be like, I'm
You
just
weren't the
never gonna be.
same person.
Well, I'd be like, I'm just never gonna be seen as like sweet. No, that's not a word to describe me. And then one day I thought, wait, why couldn't I be?
Yeah. Yeah.
What do sweet people do? Oh, they do thoughtful things. They welcome. Why do people like dogs? They welcome them.
Right.
They love. You walk in the door, everybody run up like, hey, and
Yeah.
so I just started thinking of how to implement some other things like that into my life and started doing it, and now I'll get called that. and
Right.
so
Hey,
and it's
sweetie.
just really cool.
Like,
Yeah, and I was gonna tell you too. I've one thing too that I've done this year is I've been making a spot, trying to make an attempt to the people that I'm buying gifts for. Like a lot of times people buy gifts that when you get those gifts where you're like, I don't know why they would have bought me this. It's cool, but and I'm like, they must want that.
right. Right.
And I'll pay attention. And then when it comes time for them to buy them a present, I buy them something
Or you
because
just
I'm like,
re-gift it.
well, not that, but I'll be like something in the similar vein. I'm like, they must like that. So they would think they weren't thinking of it
Right.
from my perspective, which I wasn't
Right.
upset by any means. So I'll kind of do that, or I don't want to give them somebody that gift where they're like, this is nice, but why'd she do that? So what I'll do is I'll go on
Right.
people's Facebook pages. I'm like, I'll actually look around on their page and be like, do they wear jewelry? I never really noticed before. Does that friend of mine ever wear jewelry? I'm like, no, she doesn't. That
Right.
wouldn't be a
Right.
good gift.
Right.
So I'll
Yeah.
actually put more thought, it's just putting extra thought into what you get.
That used to be my wife. She used to love getting jewelry, and she always did when she was her brothers. That's what they bought her for birthdays and things like that. And her dad would get her stuff like her mom. She'll always get these nice nice, very nice, actually, necklaces and rings and bracelets and Pandora. Well, I got her Pandora one year, and then I got her a couple of years after that. I kept giving her, the things that go on the bracelet. But now, like just asked her last night. I said, you're not into jewelry that much anymore, are you? Because she doesn't wear it. You know what I mean? And she's like,
Right.
yeah, no interest. And I'm like, okay, because I'm trying to think of what I want to get her for Christmas, and I'm trying to
Right.
think. And I was like, well, I don't. That's not something that she. I mean, she will be very grateful to get something like that, and
Right.
she'd
But
be
she's
happy
not
and
using
thank
it
you.
so
But
much.
yeah, exactly. I think she'd be happier with a set of Tupperware. Honest to God. I
A
mean, I
vacuum
would never
cleaner.
buy that for her.
A
But I'm saying,
Dyson vacuum cleaner. No.
oh yeah, or or a treadmill.
Yeah.
Not a good Christmas gift. I think you would love. I would love to give you like a Peloton. Let you get your Peloton. You would probably love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, but I know my wife would not.
Right.
Right. If she wants something like that, we can get it. That's not a problem. We don't have to. It doesn't have to be a Christmas time gift. That can be just something we can get anytime she needs it or wants it or whatever. So I mean,
Right.
we have our apparatuses in the garage that get used actually pretty good. Not by me, but so but those are the kind of things though that I think in this season there is a place for presents under the tree, but there's also a place for good intentioned, um, caring comments that 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 we need to kind of take a moment and to anybody, not just people that we know, to be a good finder. As I went and saw Zig Ziglar once time talk about being a good finder and then recognizing it when you find it. You
Yeah.
see someone that is doing their job well,
Catch them
and
in the act of
you
doing something.
catch right. And I have little wooden chips that I carry around with me because this time of season, especially, I get kids going, they're looking at me like, wait, he has a beard. It's kind of white.
Right.
Wonder. And I have these little tokens that my dad also has. My dad's a great Santa. And we give them to kids. And it says, I was caught being good by Santa.
Right. That's cool.
And they go, oh, that freaks them out and all that kind of stuff. And it's a lot of fun to do that, and that really touches a kid. The kid really goes, oh my goodness, I knew it. I knew that was him. He's checking and seeing if kids are being good.
He's checking me twice.
That's right. I was checking my list. I was walking around checking my list.
That's cool.
Yeah, but the same can go for older kids like our age.
Yeah.
When we see somebody, just saying happy holidays to somebody or Merry Christmas. And I don't think to me, it doesn't matter which one you say. I think
Neither. It's the
you should
intention
understand.
behind it.
Yeah, exactly, and so, it's something that I try to make sure that I say, like even at McDonald's drive-through, I pay the money, he gives me my change, and then I'll say something to him, like, hey, thanks very much, man. Especially I love it when young people are working the drive-through and I can say to them, hey, dude, thanks, bud, appreciate that.
How
You're
about
awesome.
the ones that every once in a while you'll run across and they just go like this?
Yeah, exactly.
Then he says, "You're welcome." No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Or you go through McDonald's and you say, hey, thanks very much. And they go, my pleasure. And I go, oh, that's the wrong
Did you
place.
just work at Chick-fil-A?
Well,
I know, it's funny.
But I was just thinking earlier when we were talking about expressions of joy, and you love, and you kind of mentioned this. I love walking into those stores where, as you walk in the store, everybody who works there stops and says, "Hey, welcome to so and so's." They recognized and saw you coming in the door. That works on so many levels. People don't understand, in many ways. I
The
mean,
Walmart greeter.
the Walmart greeter is there for so many things, security, other things, and all it takes is for someone to put eyes on somebody, let them know they're seen, and if they're up to something, then they're being watched, and they might not be up to something.
My
If
goal
they
is
know
always to
people are
greet the
paying attention to
Walmart
them.
greeter.
Huh?
My goal is always to greet the Walmart greeter when he's not paying attention. Like, I just did your job. No, I'm kidding. And I'm like, hey, how's it going? They pop up from their phone. Oh, hey.
Actually, yeah, we have here in Burke, there's this one lady who's there a lot, and actually, one day got hurt because there was a kid who was autistic and had a real manic uh, freak out, and like was running and knocked her down, and not intentionally or anything like that, but he was just really wah. And I helped because I've helped with kids like that too, and some other lady, just a regular lady, because he was really in a major distress, and freaking out. And so we kind of, and I just went over there because if there needed to be a physical restraint, I was big enough that I could handle the kid, and I know how to do that without hurting them. I know how to
Right.
handle, all that kind of stuff. So, and look, and I didn't have to do anything, but just being there, even, and then being that colossal person, this big dude who talks sweetly and nicely and softly to you, makes such a huge difference to those to kids and adults and people who are having those things. They first see you like, there's a big dude, he's going to hurt me. And then when you see the kindness, which you can look at someone with kindness, they recognize that, okay, this person's not going to hurt me,
Right.
and it does seem to, I mean, they had to call the police and everything because he really did knock her down and was freaking knocking shelf stuff off. And I don't know, I don't think any charges were levied against him. Um, but his mom was freaking out because he'd never done this. He'd never done this before, she said. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know if I believe that, but but I understand that it's not something she was prepared for, for
Right.
him. And he was much bigger than her, so there's no way she was restraining him. If he needed to be restrained for any reason, he just needed to be talked to softly and kindly, and kind of moved in the direction that we wanted to move him, and it worked out. So that was good. And there's one lady that was there. That's what she does for a living. Works with kids that
Oh,
are
that's perfect.
Cat B kids and stuff like that. Yeah, she just God works in many ways, and she just happened to be right there when it all happened. So she was able to get in there, and because even the mom didn't know what to do. So it was kind of strange day. Um,
Right.
these are the kind of days that happen to us in the world. I know there's a lot of people. I'm one of those people, Leslie, and I don't know about you. And I cast no aspersions on you if you're not like this, but because there's so many people. But when I see something going down, I feel like I have the tools that can help mitigate a situation.
Yeah.
And I'm prepared to get into it, but I also make sure that I'm not putting myself where I don't belong, you know, um, and not being. People say, mind your own business. Well, this is my business. This is the cult. This is my community. This is someone in my community. This is someone. It's a human being that needs to be cared for.
Yeah.
So this is my business. People say, mind your own business. Well, if we in this world treated people and looked to help people more than minding our own business, um, what a much better world we'd live in, wouldn't we?
Right.
I mean, what do you think,
Oh,
Leslie? I
yeah.
mean, is that something? Do you think that it's better to just ignore situations? Um, I mean, I know certain different situations have different things.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's hard to say because there are some times where it's like,
You need to
um,
protect yourself.
Well, and sometimes it's like, you know what? And there's also something to be said for, when you're adult, like people will tell you what they need. You know, like sometimes I think it can take away from someone to be, you know, people doing things for them
Right, right,
and
right.
in that sense. So I think it's kind of like I the only way I can describe it is it's not a logical explanation, it's something you have to feel. It's
Yeah,
like emotionally attuning to what's necessary in that situation. Like,
right. And that leads us back to, you know, leaving yourself open to
yeah,
God's
you're a
direction
vessel.
and move. And we're a vessel, exactly, a conduit to His love, and to be able to express to people love through Him. And I think that's when, someone on looking might say that was kind of inappropriate for him to say that. But ask the person I said it to. you know,
Right.
don't make a judgment on whether or not you would like what I said to that person or not. You know, look at how it reaction. That's happened to me many times. People see me say something to a young person, and I say, "Hey, how y'all doing?" Or "What's going on?" Or "You look great. I hope you're doing great." Whatever it is, and people like going, "Mr. Bailey, you're being a little too personal with those kids." I'm like, "No, I'm not." These kids. And then, okay, so now I have changed my behavior. I do not go up and hug kids like I used to do when I was a youth group leader. You know what I mean?
Right.
I see and feel like they need a hug. I give them a hug. Guys and girls both. That's never been an issue. But so now, though, I don't ever turn a kid away who wants a hug. I don't really hug back. But if they want to hug me, you know, and that was a problem a few times because I have kids come up and say, "Thank you, Mr. Bailey," and they would like give me a hug, and I didn't say, "Oh, don't touch me," or something like that.
Right.
Let them hug me, but I knew I'm a Santa Claus. Okay, I know how to keep my hands where everybody can see them. You know what I mean? And believe me, that's a huge thing for Santa. When you have a kid on your lap, you got to make sure that everyone sees where your hands are, because that way people can't, because there's been too many times when Santas have been falsely accused and/or there's guys who are bad Santas, you might say, who are, that's what they're doing. And so there's people always watching. Mm,
Right.
I've had that. I've seen that little eyeball coming looking at me at times with kids. And I ask parents to put the kids on my lap. I don't necessarily do that if they want to be. And that's starting to stop, though, too, unfortunately, is you're having Santa's visits are in a bigger bench and the kid sits next to Santa. They're
Right.
doing the Santa sitting, getting close and putting hands on a kid. And somehow that's okay. But at the same time, I think there's kids that that's maybe they don't have that kinetic relationship with anybody, and that we know how important that can be in a lot of times. But it is the times, it's what you do, and
Yeah.
you just do the best you can. And hopefully, I've got protection from God, and I can just let Him lead on what I do and how I do it, and then it'll all come out in the wash. So,
Yes.
well,
Well,
Leslie,
I
what
love
is
it.
on your agenda for this weekend?
I have an ugly sweater party that I'm hosting through my Going Gainesville page at
I saw
a
that.
place
Yeah,
called Out of the Blue Seafood. So that's tonight from 4 to 7.
cool.
And then I'm hanging out with my daughter. She'll be home for the weekend from school, so I'm gonna hang
Uh-huh.
out with her and on Saturday. So other than that, that's about it.
Yeah, I saw pictures, I guess, the other day of you and your daughter doing something. I don't know what it was on Facebook you posted.
Oh, maybe
And
the tattoo.
oh, okay, that's
We
maybe
got a
okay.
tattoo together.
That's cool. She's a lovely young lady, and she
Thank
seems
you.
such a neat kid.
Yeah,
Great
that's the
smile,
that's the
just like
gift
you.
giver. So
She has she has that easy smile that her mom has. So it's cool. And I also saw your boy. He's doing great, huh?
He is. Yep.
That's great. That's
Dressed as
great.
the angel Gabriel.
That's
in
right.
Sunday
That's right.
school.
That's right. I remember seeing that. Yeah, that was cool. So
So
does he
funny.
have? Did he sing anything?
I don't know. It was in children's church, so I wasn't in there
Oh,
with
okay.
them. So I didn't even see it. They were just like, "Oh, we'll send you pictures," and I got them. I was like, "Oh, cool."
Well, you know, I'm one of the kings when we do Epiphany. I'm one of the king. I used to be one of the kings at our church, and we did the three kings. They come into the church and sing their little song, and then
Awesome.
we would go to the children's church and talk to the kids, and they would ask the kings questions. And yeah, I was gold. I carried the box of gold for the baby savior. Anyway,
Right.
it's after 10:30. Thank you very
Yeah,
much,
I better run. I
Leslie.
gotta call somebody back. So,
Yeah, I'm
but have
glad
a
you had a
great
good
weekend
workout
and
this
week.
morning. What'd you say?
I said, have a great weekend and a great week.
You do the same. You
Okay.
do the absolute same. God bless you. Take care.
God bless you
Be
too.
good.
Thank you so much. I'll talk to you later.